LegacyMaker, the All Sports Network.
Now, welcome everyone to RJ Sports Lounge, presented by the LegacyMaker Sports Network.
2:53 left in the third quarter. William Mary Tribe lead Elon 31.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the RJ Sports Lounge. I am your special guest host today. That's right. I'm here. This ain't my baby. It's the guy to my left's baby. But I'm here to help out today. I'm your man, Darrell Lawrence. But of course, with me, as always, the guy, one of the hardest working guys I know, Mr. Robb Johnson, the host of the RJ Sports Lounge. What is up, Robb?
What's going on, Darrell? And today's show is going to be special, everybody. This show is going to be now 5 days a week, Monday through Friday. It'll be between 8 and noon. If it's anywhere after that, I will let you know. But we're going to make this a 5-day-a-week show. I will be talking a lot today, but I will ask Darrell some questions that I think that he'll be able to answer for me as well, because he is the host, but he also is a great sports mind as well. So again, welcome to the RJ Sports Lounge, one of the best shows out there. But make sure you check out all the shows on the LegacyMaker Sports Network. I must plug everybody because we are greatness.
I like the way you think. We are greatness, sir. Once again, everybody, it's an absolute honor to be here. So, Robb, I got some questions for you today here on the RJ Sports Lounge. Going to pick that brain just a little bit. So let's kind of get into it. And the first question that we got at hand here: should the Commanders look at value and draft Hendon Hooker in the NFL draft? What are your thoughts on this? Do you think the Commanders should make that move?
Sir, initially what I thought was that the Commanders should have gone after a Bryce Young. Bryce Young, who I think is the best quarterback in this draft, which we'll get to later. I feel that Hendon Hooker, he reminds me of somebody. In fact, let me give you some stats, Darrell Owens. Hendon Hooker, in his career, threw for 80 touchdowns and 12 interceptions. There's another quarterback who also was a transfer. Remember, Hendon Hooker went from Virginia Tech to Tennessee. And then this other quarterback, he went from Alabama to Oklahoma. 80 touchdowns, 12 interceptions. This quarterback that I talk about that went to Oklahoma had 9,477 yards, and Hendon Hooker had 8,947 yards. Do you know who that quarterback is, Darrell?
I want to say it's either Kyler Murray or Baker Mayfield, but
no, Jalen Hurts. And where did Jalen Hurts
go?
He went in the second round of the NFL draft. Listen, I know that Hendon Hooker's coming off of an injury, ACL, etc. But I believe it is great value for Washington in the second round. I looked up some stuff about Sam Howell. I understand there's some fans who are excited, but he ran a 5.7. He's not that fast. I believe that Sam Howell can be your he can kind of be more of your wildcat quarterback. Come in, he can do some special things for you. But I think they need that quarterback who's 6'4", 218, who brings that leadership to the room. So instead of them spending a quick first-round pick, I think they should wait to the second round, continue to build, and basically I think Hendon Hooker in the second round is great value for the Washington Commanders.
Now,
but go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, but you know what he did for Tennessee last year was, it was pretty good. It was a pretty good last year.
Yeah, it really was. 58 in the last 2 years, 58 and 5, 58 touchdowns, 5 interceptions. You just don't do that. And he revamped this Tennessee program. You know, this Tennessee program was in the dumps a couple of years ago. Right. He revamped it. He gets hurt in the game against South Carolina. Unfortunately, they lose against Georgia, but who the hell didn't lose to Georgia? Who hasn't lost to Georgia in the last 2 years besides Alabama? So you can't really put that against them. But yeah, I think that Hendon Hooker could be that. And think about it, Darrell. Look at the weapons they have in Washington. With McLaurin, Samuel, then you got Dotson, you got the tight end, you got the running back and Robinson, who is only going to get stronger after, God willing, he survived getting shot. So this team is going to be loaded next year. Ron Rivera, if they get the right quarterback, and I hope it's Hendon Hooker, they have no excuses, my friend.
I agree with you. To an extent, I think the biggest thing for Washington, there's two things that they gotta find a way to solidify next year, or there won't be no more Ron Rivera era in Washington. One, they got to figure out the quarterback position. That's obviously been a thorn in their side since 1999, if not a little bit before then in 99. We can go probably about the 97. But no, let's be honest with you. The whole franchise as a whole, they've never had a real, true franchise quarterback other than Sonny Jurgensen back in the day. They won 3 Super Bowls with 3 different quarterbacks, so you got to give Joe Gibbs and the crew credit for that. I mean, an amazing coach for being able to win 3 Super Bowls with 3 different quarterbacks, but they've never really had a guy that stuck around for a long time and was their true to heart piece. He's had some guys for maybe like 4 or 5 years, but nobody that 10 years, 50, that plus other than maybe Sonny Jurgensen. I could be missing somebody, but he's the first name that comes to mind. When you look at this, they've got to get quarterback straight. If they can't fix quarterback, they're going to be hurting for a very long time. But the other important piece to that is finding the right offensive coordinator to go whatever quarterback that they have starting next year, either Sam Howell or not. They cannot go backwards. They've been on the cusp for the last couple of years. They made the playoffs on a 79 year. They've been 8-8. They've been 7-9. They've got to figure it out, Rob. It has to.
And I'll say this. If Sam Howell had beat, let's say, I don't know, Detroit, New Orleans, I don't think fans would care. But because it's Dallas, I think sometimes fans have to understand that even if you beat a rival, you have to evaluate. Guys, let's be honest here. If Sam Howell was that good, why didn't he start before the Cowboys game? Let's really be honest with ourselves here. If Sam Howell was really that guy, why did he start against Cleveland when the playoffs were on the line? Why didn't he play in San Francisco? It's just a situation where you look at Taylor Heineke, it's like I feel like they've done the guy wrong. I agree with that. Taylor Heineke could have been the new age Rich Gannon. And I said this back, 2 years ago?
Yeah.
I said Taylor Heineke could have been the new age Rich Gannon, but they don't know how to handle it. Ron Rivera he got spoiled with Cam Newton. He doesn't know anything else. So, they need to bring in not only a great offensive coordinator, they need to bring in an offensive head coach because the defense has been solidified.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's something they're going to have to look deep into here in the next year. And then, obviously, new ownership looming. That is going to take a really interesting turn. It may not be this year. And this is
smarter.
Yeah, you got to draft. Well, I agree with that, but they've hit on a lot of draft picks. If you think about it, they're like legit starters for them. Gibson, Robinson, McLaurin.
Very true.
The defensive line. Yeah. But you got to be able to use it properly.
Exactly. And that's my point.
They've got to use it properly. They've been able to make things happen because they've drafted so well. Those guys have been able to kind of like push through some of the flaws that the coaching has seen. And I think
And how many times have we seen where the quarterback was drafted, the coach wanted him, but the owner didn't want him. The owner wanted him, but the coach didn't want him. You can't have that, man. You can't have that. And I believe, like I said, Hendon Hooker is a value pick that will be very good for the Washington Commanders, but I just don't know. I think they might fall in love with someone else.
Yeah, that's it. I think they will draft quarterback at some point during this draft. We are hearing the words that Howell will be the one that gets to start off the bat. I mean, that's something. I don't know if that's actually going to happen. I think they're going to take a deep look at quarterbacks that are out there as well. I mean, the list is very interesting. Darnold, Mayfield.
Stop. I'm just saying. Listen, man. Listen. Sam Darnold threw for 365 yards against that terrible Bucs defense. He ain't doing it against everybody else. Now, and here's the danger with new ownership, especially if they do it. I don't think they're going to do it before free agency, but here's the danger with ownership. Could they look at a Tom Brady? Could they look at trading for an Aaron Rodgers? Because from what I'm hearing, Aaron Rodgers' days in Green Bay are numbered. From what I'm hearing, from what I'm seeing, Tom Brady is not going to be back in Tampa. So you want to bring in a young guy. You want to bring in a guy that can energize. You don't want to bring in somebody who's going to completely change the system because you don't want to. The biggest thing here is I feel like the reason you have those 3 top receivers and bring in a Hooker because I think he can get the ball down the field, and you don't want to waste Terry McLaurin's career. As I said, you don't want to turn him into the next Andre Johnson.
You don't. There's too much talent on that team, man, and they've got to figure that thing out. And those are going to be very critical pieces. Let's swing to the next topic here. Next topic at pick number 16. Should the Commanders draft cornerback? Now, Joey Porter Jr. Penn State. Keely Ringo of Georgia. Now, Rob, looking at this, the defensive backfield last year in Washington was really solid. Fuller had some moments, got his first 2 pick sixes of his career. Benjamin St. Juste came through, made some good things happen. Their safeties had a really good year. You're talking about a guy in Cameron Curl, who's considered in a lot of people's eyes the best safety in the league right now. And that's not PFF has them as ranked the number 1, number 2 safety majority of the year, right before he got hurt. And then Bobby McCann. So that Fuller, I believe, might be up for free agency, and I think this is why this is very interesting here.
Yeah,
but should they though, Rob? Should they go cornerback with this selection?
This is the conundrum. Joey Porter Jr. has, I believe, 1 interception in his career, but he's a very physical cornerback. He can play. He's out of California. He's tough. He can do a lot of good things. But I didn't want to go here, but Kelee Ringo out of Georgia. What people have to understand is that he's a winner. Not only is he a winner, but you remember he had the interception in that championship game that ended up winning the game for Georgia to ice the game. He's physical. He runs a 4.3. He plays a style of football that I absolutely love. He's out of Tacoma, Washington, which is a long way from Georgia, so he don't mind traveling. so so is Porter. He's from, like I said, California. He's playing at Penn State. But Washington in this spot, here's the thing. Cam Smith, who was a cornerback out of Cam Smith out of South Carolina, he's gonna be gone by then. So you can just, exit him out. He's not gonna be there. And then you got other corners. You got Cam Smith, you got Brian Branch out of Alabama. Christian Gonzalez out of Oregon. Those Oregon State cornerbacks, for some reason, always come in the league and just make an impact. I don't know why,
right.
But they may be gone by then. So I look at a Ringo as a great option. And here's the thing, Darrell, if you do need to move him to safety, you can also do that as well because he hits hard. He could be like one of those transitional Charles Woodson type players where he, starts at corner, plays at safety. But that's my biggest thing because I don't think that quarterbacks are going to be there. Now, if Anthony Richardson is sitting there, I know that a couple of people told me they don't want a project, but if Anthony Richardson is still sitting there, which I don't think he will be, and Will Levis definitely won't be sitting there,
right?
Then you definitely have to go cornerback because the NFC East is only going to get better, man. You got the Eagles. The Giants have about what, $60 million in cap space.
Yeah,
they're gonna add receivers. You got Dallas, who knows what they're going to add in the offseason.
Yeah.
And they still got CeeDee Lamb. So if you're Washington to truly win a championship, you got to solidify that backfield because as we saw, injuries happen. We saw with a lot of teams, injuries happen in the backfield. You've got to stack up. In your nickel dime situations, things like that, your inside corner, who's your 4th, your 5th corner sometimes, with these 5 wide spreads. So it's important to be deep in the backfield, man. Definitely.
Yeah, I mean, I'm intrigued to see where they go with this. Now, obviously, I think Cameron Curl is also up on their contract. When we were in the press conference a couple of weeks ago, they were talking. They had asked Rivera about Curl, and was he going to be a part of their plan? Now, obviously, Rivera and Martin Mayhew had to be very reserved because it is a business, and they can't give away all their plans. But they've got 2 big problems because Curl and Payne being free agents, is critical. I mean, Payne made the Payne officially announced for the Pro Bowl as of yesterday. I guess somebody had stepped out, but he was an alternate, but now he's in. He had 11 and a half sacks this year. He had a great year, really good year. And so you got to look. We always knew that eventually all that talent on the defense, money was going to start to creep around. So you also have to start thinking, hey, who's that next person that we can draft to bring in and see if they can take care of things?
Well, let me ask you this: you've seen a Rolls Royce on TV before? I've never seen one in person.
I've seen
you've seen a Rolls Royce, right?
Yeah,
what happens if you get in that Rolls Royce and you turn it and it has no engine?
It ain't going nowhere.
Yeah.
It can't go nowhere.
So bottom line, this is what you got to do if you're Washington, in my opinion. You take care of that engine, which is that defensive line, because I don't give a care how good you are in the secondary. If you're not getting pressure, an NFL quarterback, unless it's, I don't know, Zach Wilson, they're not going to complete passes. I don't care. When you're playing in the NFC East against legit quarterbacks now, you got Dak, You got Jalen Hurts, and now all of a sudden you got Daniel Jones, who's gonna, like I said, is gonna get some weapons. If you don't get any pressure, and with Chase Young back, you got to make sure that defensive line stays intact because right now it's ferocious.
Yeah, they got to stick that thing together. I mean, Allen, Allen Sweat.
Dominant.
Yeah, I mean, Allen Sweat, Young. If they get Payne back, that line is crazy. We said it. We've been saying it for years. They had it this year. I would even say at some point they had a Super Bowl caliber defense. The defense we thought that we were going to see last year came out this year, and they had that this year. They just couldn't get it together on offense. There wasn't no consistency on offense.
And I even talked about Chase Young not having a great year. If he didn't have a great year, maybe put him in some trade capital.
Right.
And I even said that on the In and Out Sportscast. Check it out with Drew Willingham Mondays and Tuesdays and other days because he does a great job with the In and Out podcast. Drew Willingham, the In and Out podcast show on here on the LegacyMaker Sports Network. But honestly, Darrell, the way that he played against Cleveland, the way he played against Dallas, I think Chase Young's gonna have a Pro Bowl, All-Pro year next year. The way he came out from that knee injury, so I would kind of hold off on any trades. I know I said possibly put him in trade for Bryce Young earlier a couple of weeks ago, but the more I'm thinking about it, I think that they need to hold on to Chase Young, give him a full season, let him show what he can do. But definitely make sure that defensive line stays together. Because if Chase Young comes out with 18, 19 sacks, you're going to have to pay him $100 million.
Yeah, it's going to be crazy. They're going to have to pay him. We just saw what Raquan Smith got for Baltimore. So it's that Washington has a good problem, but they've got to kind of find a way to keep that problem together. That's going to be the fun part.
They need that Jeff Bezos money. You know what I'm saying? It's just like the Broncos got.
Yeah, but
that Walmart money.
That's the funny thing. Bezos. They said I saw a report that said Bezos may be out on it now, or he's not completely out, but he's not in the top. The guy that's in the lead right now is Josh Harris, who's the current owner of the Philadelphia 76ers, and I believe he also owns the Flyers. So they say that he's the lead candidate right now to take over and be the new owner for the Commanders. I don't know how true that is, but that's some of the word that I've heard on the street. So that would be very interesting if that does happen. Yeah, I know, right? We've heard Bezos, and now all of a sudden Bezos kind of took a step back. But what I'm hearing is the reason why is because Seattle could be coming up for grabs here soon. And if Seattle comes up for grabs, I believe Amazon is based in Washington. Or it was started up in Washington, because I know when I get phone calls from it, it's from Washington State. So that's another thing. I think he might be holding off if he decides not to go there, is because he knows Seattle is coming up, and if Seattle comes up, that's going to be interesting.
Well, I mean, he's definitely going. Let me tell you like this: he's definitely going to need some capital. Because see, a lot of people don't understand is that they think, oh man, these guys are billionaires. They can just go out and just buy these teams. No, ladies and gentlemen, that's not how it works.
Right.
Even rich people use credit. His net worth right now is $6.2 billion. No, ladies and gentlemen who need financial literacy class. That does not mean in his bank account he has $6.2 million. I'm sorry. That doesn't mean he has $6.2 billion. That means he has a lot of assets. He's probably got $700 million in the bank, $800 million in the bank. And people think, oh, it's a lot of money. Now you try to be an NFL owner and you own 3 other teams. So I'd rather see them get somebody who really has a lot of capital, so that there's no controversy. They can just come in, buy him right out, and put money into the team and put a freaking stadium in Virginia.
Well, I mean, I think that the stadium in Virginia will happen once Snyder is gone. I don't think they want in. I think Virginia legislature. This is just all an opinion. I'm not trying to go political, but I really do think that.
No. This is the RJ Sports Lounge. You can do whatever the hell you want to do.
Well, I will say this. I think it is a political thing right now where they're waiting before they say, okay, the land. I think that team is going to be in Virginia, closer to us, which is a beautiful thing. And when it does happen, it'll be once Daniel Snyder is gone.
Yeah. So I mean, we'll see.
We'll see. We'll see. Next topic here on the RJ Sports Lounge, we've got your top 10 players. 1 through 10 here in the NFL draft. Oh, he's got his paper out, ladies and gentlemen. He's got his paper out. Rob, give me your top 10 right now NFL draft picks as we're heading into draft pick season. We're about 3 months away from the NFL draft.
Yeah, I'm gonna go 10 through 1 here, and like I said, this list is very fluid, very, very, very fluid. So it could change. So, and I know in Ohio State, Jay, don't kill me, please. What I'm about to do. Okay, at number 10, I have Bijan Robinson, running back from Texas. I believe he's going to be a hell of a player in the National Football League. I've even advocated that he go top 10, which I think he will, and he should. Will Levis, quarterback, Kentucky. Josh Allen type of quarterback, in my opinion. Didn't have the requisite weapons that a lot of other quarterbacks had, but he played his butt off. Michael Mayer, tight end. If you haven't seen him play at Notre Dame, he's very good. He could be the next great tight end. Kaylee Ringo, we just talked about him, cornerback, Georgia. His upside is off the charts. Jordan Addison, wide receiver, USC. I think he is the best wide receiver in this class. Point blank, in the story. Jordan Addison out of USC, transfer from Pittsburgh. Osiris Torrance from O-Lineman out of Florida. He is a very good player, and I think that he'll do some great things coming to the league. In fact, let me also say I'll put Paris out of Ohio State in there as well. I'll give him a little bit of a tie. So I'll give the offensive lineman out of Ohio State some love as well. At number 4, this may shock some people. Anthony Richardson, quarterback, Florida. Is he a project? Yes, he is. Is he the type of player that, there's a lot of questions about? Yes, he is. However, let me say, his upside is off the charts. His upside could be the difference between a great quarterback and you missing a quarterback. So pay attention, Washington. You could miss out on a great player here. At number 3, Jalen Carter, defensive lineman, Georgia. If they come from Georgia, they can play football. If they play on the line, they can play some football. Number 2, Will Anderson, edge, Alabama. Could he be the next Derek Thomas? Could he be the next great player? For all the kids who don't know Derek Thomas, go look at his highlights. And number 1 for me, it's very easy. It's simple. Bryce Young. I've been saying it since 2018, 19. I saw him in high school in California. This guy is great. This guy is going to be a hell of a football player when he comes into the league. I'm sorry. He has my last name. Paris Johnson, offensive tackle out of Ohio State. I had to get his name right. Paris Johnson, offensive tackle. I'll give him. Now, people are kind of wondering out there, why don't I have
CJ
quarterback
Stroud?
from CJ. Yeah. CJ, thanks for saying it for me, because I'm so nervous right now that I may get a lot of hate mail. But oh well, this is my show. I do what I want to do. CJ Stroud has to prove to me that he's not the typical Ohio State quarterback.
Right.
The Michigan game the last 2 years just puts a bad taste in my mouth. Georgia, I think, was playing with house money. I think Georgia took Ohio State serious, but I think they thought they could just run over them. And CJ Stroud he's been inconsistent at times. And if you look at his receivers, Darrell, he's played with some great receivers.
Yeah.
Marvin Harrison Jr.'s of the world. Then, he's had some great receivers on his team. The running backs. And we can make a case. If Trayvon Henderson had been hurt, he was the key to that team.
Yeah.
Not CJ. So, and you look at what Bryce Young had to work with this year. He lost all his guys, all his major guys. Still only lost 2 games. They're a few plays away from being undefeated, being in a national championship game. So I'm going to give it to Bryce Young at number 1. As I continue to tell you, Darrell, I'll tell anybody. I said it on the In and Out show. He's the best quarterback I've seen in a long time. He is a Hall of Fame Super Bowl winning quarterback waiting to happen.
I've seen his play. I'm excited about him. I think he, under the right situation, he could do big things. I mean, that's going to be the critical part, and I think that's with any draft. The quarterback, offensive coordinator situation is going to be critical. I think we've learned that anything coming from Washington's situation. Jordan Addison. I know that we've seen him play here over the years, and especially being in the ACC. Kenny Pickett is already lobbing to try to get him in Pittsburgh. I don't know if he's going to be there.
Of course he is. He made his career.
Right. And so
I would too.
I would be like, please go get him. And so I saw last night, I think it was on Pat McAfee's show, maybe a couple of days ago. He's already trying to get him in there. Addison is going to be a great find for somebody. The thing for me, let me ask you this. I'll say this then. Who do you think will draft Bryce Love? Because there's a couple of things we hear. Indianapolis could be jumping up. We hear that the Texans, even though they have the 2 spot, may jump up because they want to make sure they get their guy, even though they have the number 2 pick. So there's a couple of teams that may jump up. Who do you think ends up with Bryce Love?
So what, Bryce Young?
I mean Bryce Young. I said Bryce.
Oh no, you're good. You're
Toss
good.
back. Toss back. I'm
No,
thinking about
Hey,
Stanford.
hey, man, it's RJ Sports now. It's all about love in here, man. So at number 3, you got the Cardinals. At 4, you got the Colts. The Colts, and I know people not gonna like when I say this. The Colts don't traditionally like drafting black dudes at quarterback. So I mean, I'm just saying, man. I mean,
I'm
know,
about to say I think the only person I may have seen in the last 20 years may have been Jacoby Brissett, but I mean, he didn't draft him. Yeah.
And the GM did get rid of his 2 black assistants to bring in a guy who's never had head coaching experience in his life. So I'm just saying, man, like we're talking about the Washington franchise. They need to start investigating the Colts because Jim Irsay, especially Jim. I'm just being honest, man. Jim Irsay kind of worries me sometimes with some of his decision making. And like I said, it's not a race thing. It's just like some of his decision making is just horrible. And for them to talk about moving up, I heard them they're talking about they might possibly move up to number 1 to draft Will Levis. Will Levis is not the number 1 overall pick. No,
I mean, but you can wait. You probably can, wait and get him. I mean, because there's some of the teams in front of him that, you can probably wait and get him.
So in what I'm thinking is, you look 1 through 10, right? There are a lot of teams who don't need quarterbacks, but you got in the top 10, you got the let me make sure. You got the Panthers, you got the Falcons, who I think Lamar Jackson's going to. You got the Raiders and the Seahawks, who you don't feel comfortable with Geno Smith, in my opinion. I don't care. The Colts, the Cardinals, they don't need a quarterback. The Texans and the Bears. So if you're the Bears, I've said this. You trade Justin Fields to the Jets, where he should have went originally.
Mm-hmm.
You get rid of Zach Wilson, send him to some sucker. Because if Bryce Young gets the number 2, I null and void anything the Texans want to do. If the Texans call Bryce Young, boop, boop, hey, Bryce Young, this is Houston, Texas. This is Mr. McNair, etc. We want to draft you. Hell no, bye. I do not go to the Houston Texans by any means necessary. We talk about Washington's franchise being screwed up. That franchise down in Houston,
boy, it's rough. That's rough.
That's rough.
It's rough down there.
That's really rough. And so my opinion, the Bears, I think that Bryce Young, because people keep saying to me, oh, they don't have an offensive line. They don't have this, they have that. I'm like, ladies and gentlemen, what part of $119 million don't you understand?
They got the money, man.
They're going to go out and they're going to get people. So, of course, they're going to surround. My issue is with Justin Fields, Darrell, he's not going to last, man, playing the way he plays.
Look, I agree
he's reckless, dog. He's reckless, man.
But you know what's funny? He wasn't reckless in college. And I'll be honest with you, I think his situation has made him reckless. Because you got to think about it. Offensive line ain't great. My man has been running he never ran this much in college. He didn't have to run this much in college. And I think
that comes down to coaching, Darrell.
Right. And I agree with you.
Coaching.
And they don't have the right pieces. You brought in a defensive coach. They'd be the head coach of this team. And I'm like, you just drafted Justin Fields. You should have got an offensive guy to help bring along your young quarterback. All right. And then put them in a good situation. Well, I'll tell you right now, if the Bears are smart, and I think you said this maybe like a week ago, they better follow the Jacksonville Jaguars motto and go out there and go spend that money and go get them some protection. I don't know who the best offensive lineman right now are going to be in free agency. Go grab at least 2 or 3 solid guys in free agency, draft, whatever. You got to protect them because the guy can throw the football. The problem is he's got to run because he ain't got no other choice. And it's bad. It's bad, Rob.
And if you look at the tape, there are times where I feel like he did have a pocket. He just did not. He wasn't patient. And that's the thing. Coaching in the NFL, folks, is very important. Look at Buffalo right now. Look at Buffalo. Look at Josh Allen without Brian Daboll. Trust me.
There's a difference. There's a difference. Yep.
Yeah. I'm not going to say he's going to decline, folks. But what I'm saying is look at the difference between how Daniel Jones looked and now how he looks now.
Right.
With a coach that can home you in and say, look, this is what you got to do, etc. But I believe the Chicago Bears, they were in a lot of games this year.
They were.
Yeah. So if you're going to protect, if you're going to trade out that pick and get some picks, I understand it. Do I think Bryce Young is a better quarterback than Justin Fields? Yes. Do I think Justin Fields could probably take the Bears farther? Yes. I think they could take them far, but I think Young is such a great quarterback that that's something you can't pass up on. So ultimately, if we're looking at it realistically, because I think the Bears, I hope the Bears do what I'm saying, but I don't think they will. Realistically, the Bears, they pass him up. If the Texans pass him up, I think that the best situation for him, you know what? I got a better one. How I think the best situation for Bryce Young would be if the Seattle Seahawks moved up to number one and they put him around all those weapons. Seattle or the Las Vegas Raiders. But we'll see. But I just need the Bears to get some weapons around their young quarterback. But quick.
real quick. So it's gonna be interesting. That top 10 is as good as they come. I cannot wait to see, as we are just a couple months away from the NFL draft.
It may change tomorrow. It's fluid.
You know how that thing goes, leading all the way up to it. You know, this person can be great this week, and then the following week is somebody completely different that is the number one guy. All right, let's go into our next topic. We got two more topics, and here's one of them right here. First one of those two: why have the Chargers not fired Brandon Staley? And would you re-sign Justin Herbert to an extension?
Yeah. First of all, of course they would. The question is, does he want to come back? The question is, does he want to win? The question is, just like a dysfunctional family, any dysfunctional family in America, it was in the 70s, the 80s, the 90s, the 2000s, the 2010s, the 2020s. That family's going to stay dysfunctional, folks. That family ain't changing. You've been in the same relationship for 30 years. It ain't changed. Justin Herbert has to learn, man. The Chargers are going to be the Chargers. They're cheap. They do not belong in Los Angeles now. The Los Angeles Chargers are more of a stepchild than the New York Jets. And that is sad. They don't belong in Los Angeles. They need to go back to San Diego. I just don't see why he would resign. And when it comes to Brandon Staley, 27-0. He's been to one playoff game. He's 0-1. And the thing is, the last coach actually won.
Yeah.
Our last coach actually won a playoff game, and he got fired, I think, 2 years after that. So
I think, it wasn't that long afterwards.
Yeah, Anthony Lynn got fired right after that. And there's the thing. Anthony Lynn did wonders with Justin Herbert the first year.
Yep.
But let me also say this too, Darrell, about Justin Herbert. You know, he in his first 3 years, he's had no less than 10 interceptions a year. And I don't see the fire. I don't see the fire from him in the NFL. I didn't see the fire in Oregon. And his coach was Mario Cristobal. And I can kind of understand why now he has no fire. Because they both, in my opinion, are just, I'm not gonna say that Justin Herbert is overrated, but I think that they sniffed his Kool-Aid and drank his Kool-Aid way, way too fast. Because, correct me if I'm wrong, Darrell, what was everybody telling us who was going to win the AFC West before the season?
Chargers.
Who were they saying?
I think everybody said Chargers.
Yeah.
Everybody in third cousin.
And who had the best weapons in the AFC West?
The Chargers. I mean, defensively and offensively.
Who paid the most money in the offseason?
The Chargers.
Who lost Tyreek Hill?
The Chiefs.
Who won the division?
The Chiefs.
Exactly. So this dynamic of putting Justin Herbert as he has to be like he's like the main frame of your team. No, he's got to have a team around him. As we see, Patrick Mahomes, McCole Hardman, he ain't playing since the Tennessee game. You got Juju Smith-Schuster, who was making TikToks. Big Ben thought he was the worst. He thought he was the worst person ever. Oh man, he's out there balling. Marquez Scantling. Oh yeah, I can do it. I'm Aaron Rodgers. I can do without him. He's balling. Travis Kelce. People forget he wasn't a first-round pick. He was I believe a third-round pick out of Cincinnati. Where would he be without Patrick Mahomes? So Patrick Mahomes has made a lot out of a little. Not saying these people aren't legitimate, but if you look at the Chargers, Keenan Allen, Mike Williams, DeAndre Carter, Austin Eckler, Ever since, I mean, can you imagine losing Kareem Hunt and just having a revolving door at running back? That would kill most teams.
Well, that's
Pat,
true.
yeah, but Patrick Mahomes just keeps going back to AFC Championship games. So my point, Darrell, is this: the Chargers are a dysfunctional f up, and they spent all the money in the offseason, and it only led to them losing to the Jacksonville Jaguars after giving up a 27-point lead. Everybody was a scapegoat except for Brandon Staley. And you know what? They're going to get what they deserve next year as well. That's all I got to say.
I'm blown away by it. Personally, if it was me, I'm surprised he still has a job there. He was already getting chirps even during the season. They were struggling at one point during the season. They kind of won towards the end and got into the playoffs, but there was chirps then that he wasn't the right guy. And I think this game alone probably proved it. Our man Corey Allen here on the LegacyMaker Sports Network, no way you come back from 27-0. And that's exactly right. There's no way that you should come back for 27-0. And they were winning 27-0 with 2 minutes. I think it was 4 minutes and 16 seconds left in that first half. And they were in cruise control. And then they got outscored 31-3 in the second half.
Darrell, let me ask you, what kind of fire did Justin Herbert show in that game?
I mean, in the beginning, I would say it was looking pretty hot. Then that second half, it diminished, and it just felt like some people just have a different energy when it's a playoff game, and it felt like you got lackadaisical, like they just kind of laid back and said, "Well, we'll hold on to the lead. There's no big deal. We'll hold on to it." That's the vibe that I got from the second half of that game. And then when they realized it was too late, it was too late.
Check this out. And you know what should have really been? It's funny to me. Everybody talks about Dallas. See, this is the problem in sports media today. We talk about Dallas so much that it drains out everybody else's problems. You got people, it's like people on YouTube. You got people on YouTube talking about everybody else's problems so much about their relationship, about their health, their diet.
Right.
And they out here doing, they living foul.
Yeah, like what's my man name? What was the guy name that was the relationship expert? Not Kevin Samuels. I know God rest his soul, but it was the other guy, the Dax dude. He was out here giving all their relationship advice.
That guy.
Yeah.
So this is what a lot of people miss, Darrell. Do you remember they struggled against the Denver Broncos?
They did.
The Broncos damn near had their best game of the season. Nobody talked about it. All we kept hearing about was Justin Herbert. Let me ask you this, sir. Austin Eckler had 204 carries this season for 915 yards. He had 107 receptions, 13 touchdowns. He had 13 touchdowns. In the game against the Jacksonville Jaguars, unacceptable. 13 carries, 35 yards, 2 touchdowns, but he had 2 receptions as well. You mean to tell me that Austin Eckler, who we know, if he got a 300 carry season, would be well damn near over 1,000 yards. He only gets 13 carries, and still
only 35 yards too. It's crazy. They've been using them all year.
Exactly, and I know people don't like doing math. I'm gonna do it, ladies and gentlemen. That means if you run the ball 3 times, that's 8.1 yards per carry. You think he can't get another 1.9 out of that first down? Come on, guys. You didn't run the ball. Brandon Staley's not a good coach. He comes from that tree that a lot of people, I believe it's the Sean McVay tree.
Yeah, he's on the McVay tree. Yep.
It comes from the Sean McVay tree. But guys, I'm gonna also say this: the analytics have got to go. That we talk about analytics with the Oakland Athletics. When last time they won a World Series?
Man, look,
I was
4.
Yeah.
I might have been 4. I mean, I don't know how. It's been a long time.
we all here yelling about Moneyball, and they're playing in a slop. They're playing in a crappy stadium and can't even get a good budget, man. Come on now. So stop with the analytics, ladies and gentlemen. Brandon Staley should be gone. But the thing is, do you know what this tells me? This tells me that Sean Payton doesn't want to go there. Because who the hell wants to coach the Chargers? The same franchise who fired, my last word on this, who fired Marty Schottenheimer after a 14-2 season. You fire. And this still makes me angry to this day. You fire the legendary Marty Schottenheimer after a 14-2 season. Let this clown stay on. And I don't mean to call him a clown. I'm sorry. No offense to his family, but his play calling, his coaching is a joke. Get rid of him. Byron Leftwich came and keep a job, and he won the Super Bowl. I think it's a tease.
You know what? It's funny that you talk about Byron Leftwich. Let's go into our last topic here. Byron Leftwich got released, aka fired, the other day. He was let go of his duties. They had been talking about it for the last couple of days. We were hearing the whispers, and then yesterday was the official, "Hey, you're no longer a part of this team." And then we talked about this on Legacy on Fire last night. We felt that he was scapegoated, that they said, "Oh man, you're the reason why." I think Bowles did this as an attempt to keep his job. When you look at it, Rob, it's such a bad deal because they were broke. They were hurt on offense. Godwin missed a lot of the season. They didn't have Gronk anymore. Their offensive line had 3 pieces, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. Jensen was hurt with the ACL situation on his injury. They had another offensive lineman. They lost Ali Marpet. They weren't the same team. You got a 46-year-old quarterback back there trying to stay upright with a not so good offensive line. 2 years before, Rob, you win the Super Bowl. Impressive run. Last year, they were one of the best offenses in the league. Okay, and they went 12-5 or either 13-4, made it to the playoffs, and still they look at him like, nope, you're the problem. Really? How bad was that defense this year?
Mind you, they were down 27-3 against the Rams.
Yes.
It wasn't Byron Leftwich's fault that Cooper Kupp got open.
Yep.
That's on the defense. Now, let me go here. Greg Roman, they said he got released. No, they said he needed to find other opportunities.
No, he needed to be gone.
They said that Greg Roman needed to find other opportunities, and he's a good family man. What the hell does that have to do with anything? I'm not going to say the source's name, but we were in Washington. We were in, the Commanders game, and I had somebody tell me that, Byron Leftwich is not looked at as a commodity for head coach. Maybe he has too strong of a personality. Maybe he likes things done his way, etc. But Darrell, the first game of the Bucks, that offense was tremendous. But this is the thing people don't want to talk about. When they had Rob Gronkowski, and here's the key, a lot of people are going to get mad at this because they're like, oh, no, it's not. Antonio Brown made that team go. I can guarantee you one thing. If Gronk and Antonio Brown had been on that field Monday night, and that team had a healthy offensive line, they'd have beat Dallas. But guess what? They didn't, because those players were taken for granted. Some on their own accord. I'm not going to defend Antonio Brown like that, but I'm just saying this is about football first. He made that team better. Rob Gronkowski made Tom Brady a better quarterback. He's the GOAT in part because of what Rob Gronkowski did for him. Byron Leftwich, there's no doubt in my mind. But here's the problem with the team I'm about to say. If he goes to Washington, the only issue is Ron Rivera's going to have to look over his shoulder. He's got to look over his shoulder every single day. Now, what's going to piss me off is if Cliff Kingsbury gets an offensive coordinator position before he does.
Man, look.
Because first of all, ladies and gentlemen, Cliff Kingsbury, he came up under Kevin Sumlin. Kevin Sumlin got a raw deal at Texas A&M. We see Jimbo Fisher still going, right? So we're not going to go there. But he had no business being in the NFL in the first place. Why? Because he had to coach Kyler Murray. I believe Byron Leftwich could have done a better job with Kyler Murray. Tom Brady did not have a good season with the Patriots coming to the Bucs. Guess what? Tom Brady has had damn near 2 MVP-type seasons before this season. Guys, he's 45 years old. The offensive line, horrible. Jensen comes back, but he just could. How do you expect a center to come back after being hurt all that time?
And and the injury he had, it's tough to make an impact the way he probably would have wanted to make an impact.
Yes. So again, Byron Leftwich is a scapegoat. Now, the 2 options, in my opinion, I think. No, 3. Number 3, the New England Patriots. I think that would be a great situation because, and this is a topic we're going to have on Legacy on Fire. I may even have it on RD Sports Lounge. Bill Belichick sabotaged his team this year by not having an offensive coordinator. When you
Mm.
put Joe Judge as your quarterback's coach, you're trying to tell me that you're trying to tell me that maybe you don't like Mac Jones like that. Maybe you want to sabotage. So the organization is forcing you to go get an offensive head coach. Number 2, the Pittsburgh Steelers. I think that Kenny Pickett isn't that great, but I think under Byron Leftwich and his tutelage, he could be decent. I think that he could, because they got pretty decent receivers and they
Yeah.
draft well. But number 1 is Washington. And honestly, Darrell, I think that Ron Rivera needs to start looking over his shoulder because I think that because he beats a Dallas team. And I told everybody this. Dallas knew San Francisco was going to win. They knew the Eagles were going to win closer than we thought. But everybody's so happy and swimming in slob and, oh my God, we beat Dallas 26-6. Commanders. It doesn't matter, folks. It doesn't matter. Listen, it doesn't matter because, listen, I respect the Commanders. In fact, I love going to stadium covering them. I love watching their team. I love their defense. But the Commanders are on my crap list right now. And they should be on yours too, Darrell, because of the performance we saw against Cleveland. In your biggest game,
Yeah,
your
was
offense.
tough to watch.
Yes,
tough
sir.
to watch.
In your biggest game of the season, your offense failed you. But then you decide to pull out your best plays in a game that doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if it's your rival. See, when you're walking through the streets, if you're only pulling out your big guns for your rivals, somebody's going to come and stab you up.
Not the shake. Oh, shoot.
I know it's harsh, but you know what? In the world, in the streets, you got to stay ready 24/7. Not only for your opposition, but for the people who sneak up on you, who you never think will ever stab you in the back. So my whole thing is, and my analogy about that is just basically this: you can't just get excited about Dallas. You got a 1:00 game against Cleveland for the playoffs. Wet the bed. A lot of teams wet the bed.
Wet the bed.
I mean, and you just decide, hey, we're gonna put Carson Wentz in the game. For what?
It was bad.
For what?
Man. It was bad.
I'll end it with this. Washington, go get Byron Leftwich. Maybe it'll make Coach Ron Rivera coach even harder. I'm gonna say this today. What's today's date, Darrell? January 20th.
January 20th.
It is all right. It's January 20th, 2023. There is no reason why the Washington Commanders should not be in the playoffs in 2023-24 season. And there should be no reason why this team is not in contention for the division. I'm saying it today, and I mean it. This is a damn good football team. Don't waste it. Bring in Byron Leftwich. You got, again, 3 talented receivers. And, folks, trust me, the wide receiver group in this NFL draft, you may not know a lot of names, but it is deep. And you're going to get a lot of value in the 2nd to 7th round. So Washington has a lot of opportunities to make this team better. So,
all right, we will see because it's going to be a very interesting offseason. By next season, Washington
do the right thing, Washington. Hire Byron Leftwich.
They could be, ladies and gentlemen. We don't know. They could have a new owner by that time. We're going to all find it out here, hopefully before the end of next season. Look, ladies and gentlemen, that is it. We are done with this episode of the RJ Sports Lounge. I want to say, Rob, thank you for inviting me to be the special host for this episode, man. I truly appreciate it, man.
I appreciate you being here, sir. Like I said, shout out to everybody at LegacyMaker Sports Network. Everybody does such a great job with shows, the writing, going to games, etc. Just a quick note tonight, VCU against Richmond. It's going to be a game. I'm going to pick VCU in that game. I think I picked them already. I'm going to pick VCU, but it's going to be a tough game. Make sure you check out Ram Talk with Rob Johnson on Monday. It could be a very positive show, or it could be a yelling fest.
Let's hope it's not a yelling fest.
Yeah, definitely. Make sure you guys also check out my personal channels, my personal media company, which is Rob Johnson Media on Instagram, YouTube, and all that stuff. Also GS&E. That is I'm gonna have to explain this. It's a G space S space E. It's my funny channel. If you get offended, don't watch it. It's funny. I have fun on that channel. I play
if
video
you get
games.
Offended, don't watch it.
I play video games. I have fun. But Rob Johnson Media is my serious channel. I post all types of high school videos, etc. I have a high school game night between the Smithfield Packers and the New Kent Trojans. New Kent Trojans, one of the teams I cover, as well as Charles City. They have a huge upcoming weekend, a game today and then a game against Lafayette that could put them first, in the Bay Rivers district. So it's a huge weekend for me. And like I said, I'll see you guys on Monday for Ram Talk, and I'll see you back Monday. Also, shorts on YouTube. I'm gonna give you guys shorts, RJ Sports Lounge shorts. Shorts are a thing, but we don't never. I don't like short views. I like lots of views.
Lots of
If you
views.
don't, yeah, if you don't like it, that's fine. I'll just make another video. I'm not gonna complain. I'm not gonna whine. If you don't like it, if you don't view it, that's fine. I'll make another video. You'll like that one.
There you go. There you go. Now, I will say this before we get out of here. We did get word about getting into the game night. So myself and Justice, she's going to be there on the behalf of the Richmond Times-Dispatch, but she is Legacy. So I'm going to be in the building tonight. It's going to be very interesting to see what goes down. But big game atmosphere. The energy is going to be crazy in the Robins Center tonight. Once again, everybody, I'm your man, Darrell Lawrence. This is the RJ Sports Lounge with your main host, Mr. Robb Johnson. Robb, it's been a pleasure. Thank you for having me on, brother.
Yes, sir. I'll see you guys on Monday with more of the RJ Sports Lounge, along with Ram Talk with Robb Johnson. Hope you guys enjoyed this show. Look for more greatness in the future.
Oh, yeah. One-on-one tomorrow, y'all. Watch out. Playoff preview. Myself. Doo-doo. All right, y'all. We will see you all next time.
LegacyMaker, the All Sports Network.
Now, welcome everyone to RJ Sports Lounge, presented by the LegacyMaker Sports Network.
2:53 left in the third quarter. William Mary Tribe lead Elon 31.